Oh, I'm so excited. There it is. What's up, everybody? This is the Four Horsemen Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Josh Romine. With me tonight is Joshua Van Cleve. What's up, dude?
What's going on?
What it is, Brent Walker over there. How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing great. Let's get this thing going. Yeah.
Let's pump it up. And then Alex Deviney Stoner. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm living the dream right now.
I love the minion border back there. It's looking good.
Yep, and you're probably going to see and or hear my daughter at some point in time. She is to my left, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun podcast.
She is actually our DFS expert. So
she knows all the details. I prepped her about the Washington Redskins and what we're going to be talking about. She's a big Dachshund fan.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let's get this puppy started. We're going to be talking NFC East tonight, so a pretty fun division. Got some old rivalries in there. It's always fun to talk about. I do want to start off the show with my random question of the week, which I want to know how much Rio Olympics have you guys watched so far this week?
Not 1 second.
Not 1 second?
Not 1 second.
Disappointing.
I watched one. Do they call it a swimming race? Like, is it a lap?
Sure, that works. It's not a lap, but
I saw a guy named, I think his name was like Michael Phelps or something.
maybe you've heard of him.
But
Van Cleef, please say this. Have you watched any Olympics?
I've actually watched probably the most of Olympics of everybody. I watched, Michael Phelps swim. I watched Lindsey King swim. I watched Ledecky swim. I even watched a little volleyball. Watched water polo today for a little bit.
Thank you for saving this. I watched golf for like 5 hours straight today, and I was so pumped up about it. What's
in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like it.
This year's the first time in since 1904.
I like it, but I don't know. It's turning on and watching actual television, which I'm just not. Other than football, I'm just not very good at. I don't watch TV shows when they air. Nothing except for The Bachelor. Well, I was keeping up on The Bachelor, but I mean,
terrible.
Yeah. Well, now I'm watching Bachelor in Paradise. You need to hop up on that. If you like Big Brother, this is kind of the same deal.
I do love Big Brother, but let's not get sidetracked. I want to talk to Van Cleef. I don't want to talk to you non-USA supporting bastards. Josh, what's your favorite event?
Ooh, for the Summer Olympics,
Yeah.
probably the swim.
Yeah.
It was actually for the first time I saw it was like they're doing a track event, and it was the what do they call it? It's like where they're so basically they run 7.5 laps, and they have to do like hurdles in between, and one of the hurdles jumps to a water pit.
What?
Yeah, they were doing the semi today for it. I think another Summer Olympic event would be gymnastics is kind of cool to watch. Just like to see what it's crazy the flips and shit they can do.
Gymnastics is ridiculous. Terrible. I got
what?
No, you're not. Don't worry. I got home from work the other night, and it was the women's all-around was on the final one,
Yeah.
And I was so pumped up. I was sitting there. My wife had already fallen asleep. I was on the couch at 11 o'clock at night watching girls' Olympics, and I had gymnastics, and I felt like, this is weird, but I was so pumped up rooting for USA. I felt so American. I wanted to run around the house screaming.
I make fun, but that other than track and field, women's gymnastics is my favorite because men's gymnastics, I don't know. There's kind of the creepy bulges, there's just that's a little bit too much for me. But
they're so they're much upper body strength, women and women. It's just ridiculous, how much cut they are, and just the strength that it takes to do everything. It's crazy.
I don't know. I just think it's cool getting to watch all the best people in the world at their individual sports compete. I don't know. I think it's so awesome. I was watching the men's volleyball team today, the indoor one.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Did you guys see the? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, my man.
I was gonna say, did you guys see the synchronized diving?
Nah.
It was crazy. The amount of focus it has to take from them jumping together flipping together and like in the same pool at the same time. It's crazy.
Yeah,
But it was outside.
Ridiculous.
The beach volleyball was outside on the beach, Copacabana Beach.
Yeah, the women's beach volleyball has been awesome. The men's is okay. It's not quite as exciting. You know, they got Carrie Walsh and her new partner this year, so that's been pretty pumped. It looks like Alec muted himself, so I don't know if you realize that or not. But let's go ahead and
I keep muting it because she's playing right here.
I saw your mouth moving, and I was like, I don't know if he knows he's muted or not.
No, I know. There's this giant red thing on my icon, so I know that when I'm muted or not. She's right now. She's playing on this giraffe. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, giraffes don't make nay, but okay, whatever.
Same thing. She's all in. Well, let's go ahead. Let's move this on. Let's go into our fantasy stock watch. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It looks like the stock's up on Terrell Pryor after several up and downs. Cleveland's Pryor looks like a possible starter, especially in the first 4 weeks with Josh Gordon being suspended. NBC Sports' Michael David Smith reports that first-year head coach Hugh Jackson agrees. When asked about the Terrell's 49-yard catch he had in that last game, he said that he thought it was outstanding and that Terrell is improving every day. He was awesome in college and then came out. He was not going to work as a quarterback. What do you guys think? Does he have any value over there in Cleveland as a wide receiver?
I was kind of shocked. Like, honestly, I hadn't heard a single thing about him basically all summer. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about, the rookies and things like that. And, then Josh Gordon coming back. Terrell Pryor is completely flown under the radar. I don't think he went in any of our drafts. All in one league, all of the rookies went.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of shocked, honestly.
I can definitely see that he has potential to be some fantasy value, especially with Josh Gordon being out. I think if Corey Coleman really starts to step up and show that he can handle the offense and handle the NFL in his rookie season, I think Terrell Pryor may be a good third option. But I think that definitely during the first 4 games he has some fantasy relevance. And I think it looks like if RG3 is out there slinging the ball and throwing it and feels comfortable throwing it to Terrell Pryor, I think he obviously has some kind of connection with him. So I could see that he has some fantasy value in the first 4 games at least.
Yeah.
I know, Alex, you've been probably the highest out of anyone on the Cleveland passing game. And like you said, Terrell Pryor just kind of came out of nowhere. Like there were just rumors of him transferring from the quarterback position to the wide receiver position, but he seemed to got a grasp on that now. And where do you think that'll take him?
Honestly, I have no idea. The wide receivers there are just kind of all over the place to me, and I don't really know how it's going to shake out. Even with Josh Gordon, I don't really know who is going to be the guy, and I think that it's very strange because last year we did. Hold on 1 second, honey, stop. Sorry, guys. I wanted to get her to go to sleep. I'm trying to tell you to be quiet. Do you want to play wide receiver for Cleveland? It's falling off. Well, one question. But I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out throughout the season because you're going to have Gordon that is going to be out for 4 games. So is RG3 going to have a rapport with other guys that he won't have with Gordon? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, he could. I'm kind of excited to see RG3 come back, and especially if he can do something. So, I don't know. I feel like Cleveland's going to be down a lot. They got to be chucking the ball. They can't just throw it to Duke Johnson every time. So I could see Terrell Pryor having some value.
So when Terrell Pryor fails at wide receiver, what position does he go to next?
Safety.
I think it's got to be cornerback. If you're a wide receiver that can't catch, you're a cornerback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that horrible?
Could he be the best long snapper, maybe place kicker in the league?
I don't know.
Holder.
it doesn't seem like he's really failing. I don't think that there's a lot of expectation for him. So I think that he's probably just going to be, kind of a slot wide receiver, maybe a gadget type, kind of a Tavon Austin type of player, and they can they could even throw him in for a passing down every once in a while too. He might be able to do it as an option. Who knows? I think they can use him in different ways that would be, they just have to be experimental with him, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Let's talk about somebody other than Terrell Pryor, though. He's a little boring. Let's talk about the stock going down on Sterling Shepard. Shepard tweaked his groin before halftime last night's game and did not return. However, it appears that it's nothing serious, and Sterling was saying it was nothing serious, so he wanted all the people out there to know that they shouldn't be freaking out about it. One person that I think would be freaking out a little bit more than others would be Brent. He's been super high on Sterling Shepard. So, what do you think, Brent?
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. I think if anything, I think it's going to drop his value maybe down to where it should be. I worry with these rookies, their value just starts, especially once preseason started. When I saw him catch that ball where he picked it up off the ground and was diving, I said, "Oh shit, here we go. He's gonna be a 4th round wide receiver here soon in drafts, and that's ridiculous." And I think that he's gonna be good, but I think that's crazy.
I want everybody to think about where Ryan Matthews was going in his first season. And I want everybody to realize that you've got to pump the brakes on rookies because they could come out, they could look amazing. I mean, I remember Ryan Matthews was going in the 1st round in drafts by start of the season, 1st round draft pick, and he was a bust. He was a terrible player, especially that first year. You've got to be careful where you're drafting these wide receivers or whether you're drafting these rookies.
Yeah, I agree. Van Cleve, what do you think?
I mean, he's going to be a nice compliment to Odell. I don't think he's going to have the star potential like Odell is. I don't think he's going to break out like that. But he is going to have a second, like Alan Hearn, Emmanuel Sanders, like these number 2 wide receivers that have fantasy value that you can play and put it as your number 3. Sometimes number 2 if they have good weeks, but play as a wide receiver number 3. I think it's good to see him out there making some plays. Hopefully Eli can get comfortable enough with him, but Odell's going to be the main guy there in New York. So I don't see him being a huge factor, but he could probably be a nice compliment to Odell. I mean, I think it'll help Odell's stock go up because it'll take coverage off of him.
Yeah, I don't know how much coverage I'd pull off him, but he did look good. I mean, that first catch was awesome.
Well, he had 4 targets. All 4 of those passes were terrible throws.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to make a special play to even make that one catch. So.
But it shows he's got it. So it's nothing we didn't already know. He's very talented. So it's exciting to see it. But him hurting his groin, I didn't like that. Makes me a little bit more nervous than I was.
Well, those soft tissue injuries can be nagging too.
But the one thing that I will say in defense of Sterling Shepard is that the same type of thing happened with Odell Beckham. He had a hamstring issue.
Yep.
Didn't play the first 4 games or something like that. Then, the last 8 games he was like the best wide receiver. So, I mean, you don't want to freak out like he said, but you also don't want to overdraft a rookie because he's still a rookie.
Yeah, I was screenshotting all those tweets and trying to send them into our fantasy league's little chat that we got set up. Somebody said something along the lines of it's not fair that New York drafted this year's Odell Beckham. And I was like, you need to pump the brakes a little bit. It's getting a little crazy.
He's a PPR guy. Like, he's going to be one of those guys that maybe catches like 80 or 90 passes. I could honestly see that. I mean, I still think that's a little kind of boastful for him, but I think that he's going to be a high-level guy, but he's not going to be the type of player like Odell Beckham.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our next player. The stock is up on Tyrod Taylor. NFL.com's Kevin Patcher reports that the Bills and Taylor have inked up a 6-year, $92 million extension. Although on paper it looks like the Bills really bought the farm after 1 year. The team has the ability to option out of the deal as early as next season, so they aren't really locked in. I think they tied it up just in case he does do great this year, then they can lock him in. But what do you guys think about that? What relevance does that have for the Bills?
Well, I think that he ends up making like $27 million next year if they pick up that option. Like, it's something outrageous. Like, it's just because he's only getting paid, I think, 9.2 or something like that this year, and it's fully guaranteed. I'm still not sure about him. I still just don't know. He seems like way too much of a game manager, and I'm not paying a game manager $100 million.
Yeah, it seems crazy, but he's definitely shown flashes. Brent, you think it affects any of the wide receivers, Watkins, any of those guys, Robert Woods?
Long term, I think you have to give some viability to Sammy Watkins. They had a connection last year, around mid-season to late season when Watkins came back from injury, and they've got some sort of, I don't know, rhythm going. So clearly, you want to have the quarterback throwing him the ball if he's going to have any relevance at all. But I think the upside to Tyrod Taylor is he's kind of got a floor, but his upside has to do with his rushing ability. His week-to-week rushing production is what makes him even fantasy relevant, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like him. I think that he's super athletic. He does a lot. I think that he can bolster that run game there. And then if Sammy Watkins can open it up and take the top off, I think that they could get something real good going up there in Buffalo. So I'd like to see it. Van Cleve, you have any Tyrod Taylor expectations down there?
I mean, I think that without the contract, he had a little more incentive to play really good in a contract year. But it is almost like, since they have that year to option out, he almost is in another contract year. So I think that the thing, and I'll get into this. We'll get in this, I guess, when we do our AFC breakdown about it. But I think that Bills didn't pass a lot, so I don't think he had too much pressure on him, and I don't see him passing even more. Rex Ryan likes to run the ball, so that's all I got.
Yeah, like you said, we can touch on a little bit more in our breakdown.
One last thing, I think that what this really means is that Buffalo is trying to get to some consistency. They have not had consistency at the quarterback position since Jim Kelly left. That's been 17 years at this point. So I think they're just trying to they did the same thing with Fitzgerald after like 5 or 6 really good games. So I'm not shocked that they're trying so hard to have a fantasy or a franchise quarterback. And honestly, I think those wide receivers do need some consistency to continue to be productive.
Yeah, I hope they do. Being a Tyrod Taylor owner in a few different leagues, I would love to see him step up and actually continue what he showed last year. But let's move it on to our next segment. We're going to try something new. We got a segment called Off the Top. What I'm going to do, I got a list of some different NFC players here, and I'm going to read off some names, and then I want you guys to tell me, the first thing that comes to your mind, the first word, the first little statement, and I'm just going to read off the names, and then just jump in and somebody give me something about it. Jordan Reed.
Overdrafted.
Overdrafted. All right. Ezekiel Elliott.
Star.
All right.
But that could be because of the Cowboys symbol.
I love it. Will Tye.
Who?
Yuck.
Potential.
Ryan Matthews.
Nervous.
Busted.
Matt Jones.
Overrated.
All day. Fumble.
Overrated.
Deshaun Jackson.
Big play.
Gangster.
Jordan Matthews.
Garbage time.
Yeah, garbage, pretty much.
Garbage time being key, not garbage, Brent. Come on.
No, just garbage.
Josh Doxson.
Future star.
Wishful.
Rashad Jennings.
Old.
Out of the league.
Sterling Shepard.
A star.
Overdrafted, overrated
Eli Manning.
Twilight.
last year. Yeah. Like
Nelson Aguilar.
Stripper.
What was that?
We all said strip club.
Yeah.
Strippers.
Tony Romo.
Collarbone.
Done.
Last year.
Lance Dunbar.
PPR.
Fast runner.
Bad knee.
Don't draft.
Good.
Des Bryant.
Touchdown maker.
Big plays.
All right, that's 15 names there, guys. You did pretty good. I wrote some of these down. I want to revisit them at some point when we're talking about our team. So, Alex, let's go ahead and move into our NFC breakdown. I want you to lead us off here in the East with the Washington Redskins. I think that you've put together a little bit of questions for us. So, what you got, buddy?
Yeah, real quickly with the Washington Redskins, one of the things you kind of they're always the team that wins the division when the division is terrible, and that's because they're just a mediocre franchise at best. And sorry, guys. And one of the things that their players last year weren't true stars from start to finish. If you had to pick one person, I'm going to direct this at Brent here. If you had to pick one player, who would you pick as a possible stud for this team, fantasy-wise?
Matt Jones.
I mean, at this point, early on in the draft process, I'd have to say Jordan Reed. I'd say he's probably the one that's getting drafted the highest out of any offensive player, other than maybe Matt Jones. But Jordan Reed has the highest potential. He could actually be a tight end one. He could be a difference maker at the position when you do draft him. At this point in time, I would have to say Jordan Reed.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I also, just because I'm a big Josh Doxson fan, and I don't really care for, the corpse of Pierre Garçon and what's left of Deshaun Jackson. Like, I don't like any of that. So I think that he's probably the best wide receiver, and I wouldn't be shocked if he wasn't a starter, or if he was a starter by the end of the season. And speaking of Josh Doxson, does he have a really long path? And I'm going to ask you, Van Cleve, do you think that he has a long path to being a starter, a wide receiver 1 or 2 on this team? And, where, if you're drafting him, are you hoping for that, or are you just, hoping to just stash him? Like, what is your expectations for Josh Doxson?
This year or for future?
This year. Well, I guess, do you have expectations for him this year, or are they all for years coming?
I actually don't have too much expectation for him this year. He's more of a good stash for years to come, because you do have Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson, which those contracts are coming up, and you have some other people there, but they're younger too. But I really think Josh Doxson can really overtake them if he does show in the preseason and in training camp that he can be a good wide receiver. I think he may get a shot or two. But I think his shot will really come when there's injury. So I think he's a good stash for years to come. I think Josh Doxson is one of the top receivers in this year's rookie class, and so he would be a great stash for Dynasty.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I think that he might be able to start this year, but, we'll see. Okay, Romine, straight up, Kirk Cousins, real or fake?
God, I want to say real so bad. I can't. I don't like that. I wish I did. I want to like it. There's so much to like about him. He can sling the ball. He freaks me out, man. I just couldn't go into a season with him as my only starter. I'm good with you picking him up as your second quarterback or maybe a 2-quarterback league, but he makes me nervous. There were games last year where he looked awesome and looked terrible in the same game. Yeah, so it was just, I don't know. I just can't trust it. Like, I want to.
I
Yeah,
feel like he's the perfect candidate for a streaming quarterback. You
Oh
don't
my
want him
God.
as your number one quarterback or a top 12 quarterback in a 12-team league.
Yeah,
I
but
think he's the perfect candidate to play it by matchup.
yep, I would have killed for him last year at the end of my playoff run.
Do you guys know what he? So in our league that we do, that the big league we do, do you know what he ended up as as quarterbacks ranking?
What, like quarterback 6,
He
something like
was
that?
quarterback 9. So
9.
he was in the top 10.
so
That
but
doesn't surprise me.
it's those the problem is that with fantasy you have to look at you actually have to dig into those games, and it really was like the first 8 games he was so bad that I was expecting them to bench him, and then
Hmm.
those next 8 games he was like Joe Montana, and
Yeah,
it was
but
just
isn't that something you want to like to see? If he's the second half of the season, something's finally clicking. So then they're obviously
but
making strides to continue for him to be that
my problem
guy.
is that he actually was the year before was actually benched for Colt McCoy. I mean,
Hmm.
why? Why was he so good all of a sudden? Was it just that that he had good matchups? Was it that things just were lining up in the stars correctly? Because up to that point, and we had seen him for several performances be absolutely dreadful, and I 8 games of really good and then just a backlog of bad. I don't trust that. I can't just roll with that and say, okay, yes, he's a top 10 quarterback.
And looking at those numbers a little further, even Kirk Cousins, like I might be the highest on him, but like through the first 13 games last year, 11 of those games he threw 11 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. 11 out of the first
Yeah.
13 games. Like that's not good, but like it all seemed to come together for him. Like the more he kept playing on in the season, he just kept getting better and better and better, and he was doing it against like decent defenses too near
So,
the end of the
but
season.
you're basically saying that only 5 games he was good. I
Yeah,
mean,
but I'm
that's a
saying his
small sample
progression,
size.
right? Yes, but his progression through the season, he kept getting better and better the more he played. It seemed like, but um, I don't know.
Yeah, Washington Redskins are the only team in the NFC. I mean, I'm an Eagles fan. The only team, I don't care. Whatever. I don't have a hatred, or I don't even feel like they're rivals because they are just so blah.
Yeah, I don't really care much about the Redskins. Jordan Reed, I think Brent nailed that when he started talking about him being the one of the biggest fantasy players on the Redskins team. He's going as the number 2 tight end right now. I think that there's a lot of excitement building around him. But let's move it on to. I want to move it on to a team that does have at least one budding bright star out there. I want Brent to talk to us about the New York Giants. Brent, what you got?
Well, obviously the Giants out with old school Tom Coughlin. In comes Ben McAdoo. He's been the offensive coordinator of Green Bay Packers. He's been offensive coordinator of the Giants for the last 2 seasons. Now he's the guy in charge. So he's been the guy that's been in charge of the offense. He's the passing guru. But every season except his initial season as a coach, which was 10 years ago as a tight end coach in Green Bay, McAdoo offenses have finished above the league average in points scored. And for those scoring at home, yes, that's a pun intended. That is a top 16 defense. Or defense? I'm in offense. He does offense. Top 16 offense and scoring. So my first question will be directed to, we'll go with Van Cleve on this one. How does this coaching change affect Eli Manning's value this year and the years to come for Dynasty?
For Eli from Dynasty too as well, right? This is just Eli's question.
Yeah.
Okay.
About Eli Manning.
I know
what do
we're
you
talking
think
about the
his,
offense or just Eli. I think it goes up. I mean, you can see what Eli did last year under Bing McAdoo's guidance, and then I think he takes over. I think it's going to continue on. When you have that consistency with quarterbacks and offense, you see a consistency with the quarterback. Then, and I think He's going to have it. He has another wide receiver that's going to give him talent. He's not going to have Ruben Randall or Victor Cruz who's hurt. He's actually going to have a true number 2 if he can stay healthy and doesn't have this nagging injury. But I think, and then especially if they can get the running game going, it's going to help with it. They did there at the end. Rashad Jennings, you saw him kind of start to take off. So I think Eli is a good for now, and he's good for at least 3 more years in Dynasty. Because quarterbacks typically have a longer life. So as long as McAdoo is continuing to be the head coach, I think you'll see the offense thrive, and you'll see fantasy relevance with that offense, and especially with Eli at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, Eli is still he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the game. He can win you weeks, but he can also lose you weeks too. He can have those 1 touchdown games, but he could also, like we saw last year, he threw a 6 touchdown game.
Yeah.
Can win you a week, obviously.
I mean, he's always kind of been like that.
Sure.
I don't think it really matters who the coach is, offensive coordinator. Eli Manning is Eli Manning. He's like if Peyton Manning is not very consistent. And so I think that you have to be somewhat nervous when you have Eli Manning as your only quarterback. I think he's great for 2 quarterback leagues. I think that the stock, because of Sterling Shepard, I think his stock is really high. But I think you have to. I think you want to be very careful, because even in his really good years, I had him on a fantasy team, and it was awful starting him week to week.
So temper your expectations with Eli Manning.
And yet you have him again this year.
But again, two quarterback league. I think that it'll even out. When he's your only quarterback, when you have a 1 quarterback league, he can be amazing or he could be absolutely terrible. He's just not very consistent.
So we'll move on to the running game. So under McAdoo also, his offenses have generated a running back that's considered usually about a late RB2, early RB3. That running back usually generates about 50% of the rushing production for that team. So 50-50 split with the number 1 running back on the team and the number 2 and 3. But this one I'll direct to Romine. Who is the guy to own in that backfield?
Rashad Jennings, clearly. They got Andre Williams listed as a number 2 running back right now, and I don't think you could pay me to draft him. So I worry. What else are they going to do?
Well,
Perkins?
I mean,
thin backfield, very thin.
It is a thin backfield for sure. But in a dynasty league, who are you drafting?
In a dynasty league, I'm probably going to pick up Perkins. I'm still going to draft Rashad Jennings ahead of Paul Perkins.
Okay.
Yeah, because man, I don't know. I want to believe in it too, but like I haven't seen much from him. So
None of them.
I mean, Jennings is entering his 8th season. He's age 31. He's over that running back hill that they always say of age 30. But he's never had a 200 carry season, which he should have fresh legs, you would think. He's not running the ball a lot in these seasons that he's been carrying the tote, and he's only been doing it for the last 2 or 3 seasons overall, getting 150 plus carries in each of those seasons. So he still has some fresh legs, I think. That you can get production out of him, especially as a number 1 running back on that team.
Yeah, I would side more with Alex. Like I said, I probably wouldn't. I would draft Rashad Jennings, me personally, but I'm not going to draft him till late. So I think that he's going to be a great value if you're catching him in like the 9th round, 10th round, maybe for a starting running back. I don't know if he's going to fall that far. If he continues to show in the preseason that he's pretty good. So I don't know.
And with Paul Perkins being a rookie, he had the highest elusiveness rating last year of all draft-eligible running backs. That's the ability to force a missed tackle, which seemed kind of crazy because he's actually kind of a smaller back. He's only 5'10", 208 pounds, but he's very elusive. I wouldn't say he's elite in anything, but he's very good in almost everything. So he has probably the best potential to take over that running back spot. So the thing that he has to work the most on, I think, is pass protection. And
Yeah. I think he
needs to
fumbled
do
in that first game, too.
Oh, man, that's rough. He's going to be benched all season now, probably.
He's screwed.
And then you have Shane Vereen back there, which is he always seems to be like the forgotten running back this season, I feel like. You know, he's a big PPR guy. He catches a lot of passes. Even Eli dumping it off to him might have some value there, too, in a late round, you know. But yeah, he has superior pass blocking, too. But yeah, Andre Williams, the only thing I'd say about him is he lost 15 pounds over the offseason, and he said he shrunk his waistline down like 5 inches. I was like, 5 inches? What? That seems crazy. And then he added a bunch of muscle, and we'll see what happens with that. I don't know. He looked good in preseason yesterday. Broke off a couple nice size runs. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a couple of years ago, he was kind of the guy to grab, but just has not looked very good since his rookie season, honestly.
All right. Alex, I'm going to ask you the tough question now.
Oh, boy.
Because tough questions are tough. So let's talk pass catchers for the Giants.
Okay.
Everyone knows who Odell Beckham is now. You know, everyone's got his haircut. I think I might go that route too. I think I'd look good with it.
Yeah.
But
you dye it blonde too.
Clearly, the man is a beast. So there's been tons of hype on this other guy named Sterling Shepard, which we kind of talked previously about. How do you think he can carve out a role in this offense that's clearly dominated by the man beast known as ODB?
Honestly, I don't think that he really needs to carve anything out for himself. I think that it was something that anybody could have taken over last year and just didn't. I think that he is kind of what Van Cleve said. I think he's better than the other options on the team. I think that Victor Cruz is going to at least make an attempt to come back, and I could see them putting.
Reporters, I know they're just beat reporters and whatnot, but they're saying that he looks so bad right now that he might not even make the team. Victor Cruz.
Wow.
Oh, that's not good.
I mean, he just got off, the PUP list. He's getting into it, so of course he's gonna need to work out the kinks, I guess. But right now, they're saying he might not even make the team.
Yeah, he hasn't played in forever, so.
Yeah, I mean, if he plays something, I could see him playing on the opposite side of Beckham, but Sterling Shepard being the kind of the underneath and again PPR just volume. Like I said, I just don't think that anybody was there to take the lead on anything. And now my daughter's climbing on my back. But I think that this is a role that is just kind of sitting on a silver platter for somebody to grab, and I think that Shepard is going to be able to just take it. I don't think that he's going to have to really work very hard to take what has been just sitting there for an entire season now.
And one thing I will say about that is Sterling Shepard, he enters this New York Giants passing attack that had Ruben Randall finish as a wide receiver 3 for fantasy purposes in the last 2 seasons. He's finished at right around that back-end wide receiver 3 range.
I mean, as much as you guys talk crap about Ruben Randall, last year he had almost 800 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I know
in
he was decent.
2014, Randall almost had 1,000 yards receiving in this offense, and then he had 8 touchdowns last year. So now Randall's
And why is
gone.
he so boring?
I know, he is boring.
He's so boring.
You don't even realize how much production he gets, I guess, in that offense. So
Sterling
Shepard
steady,
is a
though?
much better wide receiver than Ruben Randall.
I didn't look at the game logs. What were was it pretty steady for? Because I mean, you're still talking. That's not even 80 yards a game.
I mean, that's 1 touchdown every other game.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking. Did he have a couple where he had maybe 2 or 3 that kind of?
No.
Okay.
I got it pulled up right now. He had 1 game where he went over 100 yards, so it was pretty much all spread out. He had no multiple touchdown games. All of them were scored individually.
Okay.
He was right around. Yeah, he spread it out.
So.
I mean, but still, like I said, it's good to get those touchdowns. But the yardage, you aren't. If you're going after a number 2 wide receiver on a team, you're not looking for 800 yards.
I think where you're getting Sterling Shepard, even with his hype, is still really good value on that type of offense, and he's going to get production. And if you can get him in that fifth, sixth, seventh round range, even after a Alan Hearns and Emmanuel Sanders, all of them are gone.
Brent, you're telling me
behind those guys.
You just said the 5th round for Sterling Shepard. You'd be okay with that?
That it would be a reach, but
it'd be a
I
hell
could
of a
see
reach.
people do it.
Hey, Roman, can you pull up the average draft position in the 5th round? Who's being drafted in the 5th round right now?
Yeah, you guys keep talking. I'll get it.
I think.
So I mean, the New York Giants, they got a lot of players in free agency as well. Their defense is going to be a lot better. They're probably going to hold on to the ball a lot more. So
I will give you that. The defense, they did sign a lot of offseason for their defense is going to be better. I think their offense is going to be better
some of
too.
the most money in the offseason.
They did.
They went crazy with their money. They got a lot of cornerbacks. I think they've got defensive linemen. And
I think the 5th round's still steep for a second wide receiver, number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm okay with drafting him and having him. I think he could be good. I just think that's really high for. You can pick somebody else up. You can still probably get a number 1 at 5th round probably.
Yeah. I mean, you're buying so much into hype for a 5th round. I don't know. There are running backs that I would rather grab in the 5th round. There are, I don't know.
So, like, 5th round, if you're talking like a 12-person team, according to Fantasy Pros, you're looking at Larry Fitzgerald, Emmanuel Sanders, Jordan Matthews, John Brown, Alan Hearns, Dante Moncrief is up into the.
I'd rather have all those guys.
So.
Sterling Shepard.
Me too.
So there's some 1s and 2s mixed in there. Okay, so 5th round. I mean, but still, I take like I said, him being a rookie, I would take him after those guys because those guys I know what they can do.
But at the same time, I could see Sterling Shepard putting up equivalent numbers to some of those guys.
Not to say he couldn't, but he's a rookie. He's unproven.
Yeah, and it really is. It could be a slow start too, and I think that's something you have to take into consideration when you're planning your team. Is that okay? He made a really good, he made a couple of good plays or a good play or something. I didn't watch the actual game that he was in yesterday, but that's great. But he's still acclimating himself into an offense, and so you have to prep for maybe there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, getting into real games where the corners are running really fast, like they're playing all out, because this is preseason. You're not always getting the top-notch players against, you could have one top-notch player going against a terrible corner, and it's like, oh, this guy's going to have a huge season, and then he's just terrible when he starts playing against number 1s. Preseason, you can't put all of the stock that people put into it because you end up getting Ryan Matthews in the 1st round.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, Odell wasn't drafted in most drafts his rookie year when he was coming out. He had an injury, but
because he didn't play preseason and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, but you were able to pick him up off the waivers, off of free agency later in the season. So
I did, right, Van Cleve?
I did draft him. And I cut him.
Classic.
Kept Reggie Wayne over him. Ugh.
Hey, Brent, you have anything else to say about the Giants?
Oh, man, no. I think their offense is going to surprise people this year. It's going to be better. I think it's going to be better than what they think.
Yeah, it could be good.
No, I think.
But let's move it on.
All right.
Well, Van Cleve, since you're talking anyways, why don't you tell us about the Dallas Cowboys? I think that's your team.
How about them Cowboys? Oh man.
How bad?
So we'll kind of start it off with some questions here. I'm going to start with Tony Romo. Do you know when without Tony Romo, how many wins the Cowboys have had without him?
Isn't it one?
It's like 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think I read somewhere like it's been like 5 years since someone's won without Tony Romo in there. So we all know that Tony Romo has had some issues with injuries in the past. So my question is, can he stay healthy? Part one. Part two, if not, how much does this affect the fantasy stock of players on the team? And I'm going to direct this to you, Romine.
I think he can stay healthy. He scares me. Obviously, there's a possibility he's broken his collarbone a couple times now. I would love to see him stay healthy. What was the second part of your question?
If he can't stay healthy, how does this affect the fantasy stock of all the players around him? Like, any player.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
So you think it affects Ezekiel Elliott too?
Well, I mean, they started Dak Prescott tonight, so you gotta be a little bit worried.
Okay, I mean, I think that one thing, let's say that Romo gets injured, I think that hurts Elliott's stock, but I don't think it necessarily hurts Dez's stock, because that means they're going to probably be playing from behind. They're going to be needing to throw the ball in the fourth quarter. I think that's going to help. You're going to get, Jordan Matthews type stuff, like just garbage time. But I think that that's going to hurt Ezekiel Elliott, because I think he needs to be I think he's not like AP where he's going to break off huge runs. From the tape that I've read, he needs the carries.
Well, last year when that happened, when Tony Romo got hurt, Darren McFadden, they gave him the rock a ton in passing and rushing, and look what he did.
But
that is true.
I don't know.
Darren McFadden wasn't a rookie. I don't know. I could see it going either way. Like you said, I could see them feeding Bryant normally, especially if it ends up being a rookie quarterback, which who knows what they're going to do. But you normally go with that vet and you just feed him the ball. You know where he's going to be, and you can kind of depend on him. I could see them still leaning on Elliott, but I just feel like they would stack the box way more, which obviously was going to be a little bit worse for Elliott.
It's real quick here before we move on to the next question. I don't. Would it really be that bad if they just threw Dak Prescott in there? They know they have Tony Romo. They know he's good. Why not just try to see what they have in Dak Prescott? I mean, they can't win without Romo. So what's it hurt if they throw Dak Prescott in there?
Fair enough, but I think the problem that you have, and this is a problem that the Cowboys have been making for years, is that they don't have a quality veteran backup. And I think they keep just throwing somebody in there because it's like, oh, it'll be fine. But honestly, I think that eventually they have to start looking toward the future.
Well, isn't that Dak Prescott? Like, why not throw him in there to see what they have in the future?
Is Kyle Orton still around? Didn't he retire with the Cowboys?
Yeah. I just think that the Cowboys are, like they were last year. They're an injury away from being the worst team in the division, and that's not good. If you have built a team, this great offensive line and these, a top tier wide receiver, why are you not taking care of that backup position? It doesn't make any sense to me, because you threw away a season that you could have been good. I don't know.
Yeah, but Van Cleve, you were the one that asked me about Romo. I think your one word when we were doing the name game thing, you said collarbone. I'm assuming that you think he's gonna get injured. You got a percentage like you want to put on that?
Percentage, because he's injured it like twice. Mm-hmm. If him getting injured again, I'd say that it's a 60% chance.
Being drafted as a lot of people's starters, I think.
Here's one thing, though.
He's a decent quarterback.
But when he plays, what is one of the things that people don't usually plan for, and you see him get away with? Running the football. No, running the football. He is a really good and sneaky runner. And if he is constantly getting injured, if he's concerned about a collarbone that has been broken twice, does that take a lot? I mean, as an Eagles fan, I can't even I don't even want to think about the amount of times where it would be 3rd and 10, and somehow he would scramble out of the pocket and end up getting a first down. Constantly. If he is injured, if he is scared to get injured, or just the fact that he's getting older, you take that away, they might not be a team that is even worth anything as far as going into playoffs and things. And he might not be he might not be worth anything as far as a starting quarterback on your fantasy team.
He's just very shifty in the pocket, I think. He can escape and get yards and first downs. But the thing I noticed more about him is, with offensive line struggles, if there is pressure on him, he is able to escape the pocket. I mean, he just shifts his shoulders around. No wonder he keeps breaking them. Like, the things are just like double jointed or something. But
yeah, I think those collarbone injuries came on slams where he got slammed down to the ground. I think that's where you're most susceptible to that collarbone injuries, when you're getting hit down on the ground.
All right, moving on to my second question. A little trivia question prior to this question again. So when was the last time Cowboys spent a first-round draft pick on a running back?
Like before this year?
Emmitt Smith? Emmitt Smith?
Brett?
Oh, no, Marion Barber. I'm going to go Marion Barber.
No?
Was he a first?
Actually,
I can't remember if he was the first
Felix
or second.
Jones.
Oh, shit.
2008.
That's right.
I thought before I did this.
Barber was from the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I thought he got traded to the Cowboys.
No, he got drafted by the.
Maybe it was the other way around.
It was the other way around, yeah.
Because I thought last time they picked a running back in the first round, I thought it was Emmitt Smith too. So I was doing my research, and I came to found Felix Jones.
Yeah.
So here, this is why I asked this, because this leads into my question. In 2008, Felix Jones got drafted. His career stats is 640 rushing attempts, 2,912 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Emmitt Smith got drafted in 1990. His is 4,409 attempts, 18,355 rushing yards, and 164 touchdowns.
I think it'll fall
is
in between there.
So is Ezekiel Elliott going to be a Felix Jones or an Emmitt Smith? And this question is going to be for you, Alex.
He's going to be somewhere in the middle. Felix Jones was terrible, but he's not going to be the best running back of all time. I think he's going to be.
I think Jerry Jones is hoping he's going to be. He's talking him up like he's going to be.
Well, he also talked up Felix Jones, okay? The Dallas Cowboys. Now, here's the thing, is that you look at the Dallas Cowboys and how they've drafted their first-round draft picks, they've not done very well. I mean, going back for several years, they've just not done very well when they're picking up those guys.
Unless they're offensive linemen.
Yeah. And I think that you need to look at, like, the...
I was going to say, you're fine, Alex. Let me just interject. So when I was just looking that up, like, they drafted a lot of defense players in the first rounds, and obviously that did not pan out for them.
No,
just to prove
a lot of corners. They've drafted a lot of cornerbacks, and they have not been very good.
Yeah. All right. So you guys have anything to add about the Ezekiel questions? Romain or Brett?
I love Felix Jones, just FYI.
Of course you did. Brett?
I think Zeke has all the credentials to be a great starting caliber running back in this league. He's got tackle breaking ability. He's got some of the greatest vision in the last few classes that have come out. Elite pass blocking skills that's going to help protect Romo and solidify any sort of pass rush on that offensive line that gets through. And he's got some of the greatest hands that are out there too, and his college tape proves all of that. And coming into the NFL, behind that offensive line, there's absolute reason to draft this guy in the first round, I think.
Okay. All right, and moving on to my last and final question. So I need you guys to dig deep a little bit on this one. Is there anyone on the Cowboys that has fantasy value besides the usual suspects like Romo, Elliott, Bryan, even Witten? Do you guys have anybody else that you guys are trying to to look at or stash or draft on the Cowboys? Romo, not Romo. Brent, this is your question. You're up first.
Dynasty-wise, I would take a flyer late on a Dak Prescott, but he's really good with play action. He was great with play action in college, and I think that can translate well to this Cowboys team that likes to run the ball. And you have an elite pass catcher like Des Bryant who can get open and off of press coverage and things like that. So Dak Prescott, keep him on your radars for Dynasty. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot.
I like that. I think Dak Prescott, I think that if Elliott can get running, and I think that if he can prove that he's a valuable running back and the people they're starting to stack the boxes and stuff, and Dak Prescott can get a chance and he can do the play action, you have a good threat at running back and you do that play action. I mean, look how well it worked out for Peyton Manning with the play action. I think that could be a serious threat, and that'd be something to look out for. Guess everything else? Any other comments on Ezekiel? Alex Roman?
Well,
or not Ezekiel? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that it's to be, Witten is getting older, and somebody's got to take over that tight end spot. And I think the only reason that Witten is still a Cowboy is because no one has stepped up. And Romo used to love to throw to the tight end, and with Witten's age kind of diminishing, it's gotten less and less and less the last few seasons. So I think that if you're going to not necessarily a player right now, because I think Escobar was supposed to be that guy and just hasn't really become that guy, maybe keep an eye out, see if things start to turn. But I think that tight end is the next thing that they're going to have to look at, because I think that's something that's sorely missed in their passing game, and I think that Romo is missing that.
Yeah, I was looking at, I was scouting Escobar like a couple of years ago, thinking that he could maybe emerge as that tight end, and he wasn't showing anything at all. I mean, he'd get a catch here or there, maybe a touchdown, but he wasn't really being proven. But Witten's a tough dude. He's going to be out there on the field basically until he's dead. Not like he can't move.
Honestly, with Witten, though, his fantasy production is totally reliant on Romo. He is completely useless if any other quarterback is in there, because he's blocking the entire time. That's the only thing he does when Romo is not in the game.
He had 77 catches last year.
Yeah, and I think 40 of those were in the first 4 or 5 weeks.
I don't know what glasses you're wearing, Roman, that just makes you think that Witten is still like this upper echelon tight end.
No, do not even say that.
You're
putting
already,
words in my mouth.
I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Yes,
you are fighting every time somebody says something bad about Witten. You are fighting it tooth and nail.
I have never once said I thought he was an upper echelon tight end, but he is PPR relevant. He is, and that's my point. He still caught 77 balls last year. He's still an option. He only had 3 touchdowns, but 700.
I mean, that's okay, but it's not.
It was without Romo. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but the fact is that I still think that you have to look at he's getting older and something has to replace him.
Yeah, I am not disagreeing with that.
In a very shallow tight end pool, that's a very serviceable tight end. Although I will say I feel like the tight end class is getting a little bit deeper. I don't know how well they're going to be, though. We'll see. There's some hopes on some tight ends this year in the rookie class. So we'll see. Is there a number 2 that sticks out at all on the? Are you guys drafting anybody a number 2 wide receiver on the Cowboys?
Yeah, look at Terrence Williams. And I know you guys are probably gonna say he was terrible last year too, just because he didn't step up when he had the opportunity to take over. He could have, but he didn't.
He burned me so many times. And the fact is that it looks like every time it's like, okay, Terrence Williams is going to be the guy, and then Cole Beasley is better than him. White man Beasley. No.
But
Terrence Williams.
There's still a chance Terrence Williams could be a Randall Cobb type player. I think that's who he could be compared to on the Cowboys. If Bryant comes back and stays healthy, I think he could be
I think that's a bad comparison just because he's never shown that capability of catching short passes and getting yak yards. It's all deep passes. That's it.
Yep.
I've never seen him catch a short pass in his entire career. It's only been like
he's like a Torrey
yards,
Smith. He's like a Torrey Smith.
Yeah, total Torrey
but
Smith.
Worse.
The worst.
That's saying something.
Just, I love how the three of us are just laughing, and then Romine just straight face.
I do want to make a comment regarding Torrey Smith. He went in our draft without Romine even bidding on him.
Mm-hmm.
I know. What was that?
Okay, you guys are assholes.
What? That has nothing to do with us. You didn't bid $2.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember.
You blacked out, didn't you?
Blacked out.
Maybe.
Completely blacked out.
Classic Romine.
Who'd he go to?
I don't really remember.
I
That's what
went
I
to
thought.
Evil Empire, so Joe has him.
Yeah. They probably bid like $13 for him. So.
No, he went for 1 or 2. I can't remember. He didn't go for very much at all. So I don't know where you were. You didn't even make an attempt. You wanted to grab that Kendall Wright so bad that you missed out on a guy that could be a number 1. Kendall Wright might not even make the team.
I took Kendall Wright with my very last pick. I'm probably not even going to keep him. So.
Kendall Wright.
I bet you Bruce Ellington is going to outperform Torrey Smith.
Hey, all joking aside, that is possible. He has looked good.
Board bet.
Oh.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board.
So that what is it?
Bruce Ellington will.
We have so many Torrey Smith. What? I've got to pull these up. We should move on, but it's like this player is going to be good. Okay, here's more information on this player that I also want to throw.
All right, let's move it on, Romine. You can go ahead.
All right. Okay, well, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. And, this time last year, everybody was talking about how pumped up they were. Sam Bradford was coming in, and it was the Eagles' offense was going to take off, and all these players to own. This year, the hype is a lot different. With Peterson coming in, there's a much different buzz around the team. Especially, talking Sam Bradford, they drafted Carson Wentz. What I want to know, and the question I want to direct to Brent, is there any league formats out there where you're drafting Sam Bradford right now?
I don't think so. I mean, the offense that they're bringing in with Doug Peterson, you have to kind of compare that a little bit to the offense that he portrayed over in Kansas City. So is Sam Bradford going to be like a Alex Smith this year? I think that's kind of what is almost in everybody's minds right now, with Sam Bradford's terrible season that he had last year factored into that too. They had some poor play last year, and they were just under expectations, I think. The expectations were so high with Chip Kelly's offense in Philadelphia that you see what they did last year, and it was just such a disappointment, it felt like,
Bradford's not a game manager, though. I mean, he's the type of player that if he can get going, he's going to make plays, and he showed flashes of that last year. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think that he is deserving of a start for your fantasy team. Maybe if you want to buy into him just being better than last year and a possible backup and just kind of see, or even in Dynasty, maybe he has a good season, gets traded to another team that could be a good fit. Dallas Cowboys. I don't see him being traded to the Dallas Cowboys, but but I think that Bradford could be better in this, maybe a hybrid of game manager, but with the ability to make a big play. I think that the ceiling was so high last year, and now it's so low that you can get him at a decent value, and I think that maybe he might surprise. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, I would maybe pair him up with like a Kirk Cousins, or pair him up with somebody else that's like situational. Maybe you can get in on some of those situation games where Bradford could have some sort of value. So, all right, let's move it on to the next question. This one is for Alex. Ryan Matthews last year I traded Ryan Matthews to you. He has shown some flashes of being a pretty good running back, even though he was a bust pick for you in the first round with San Diego. He's come into Philadelphia, and he has shown that he can run the ball still. How many games do you think he is going to play this year, and where do you think he finishes as far as like running back rank?
I'm going to go for a hopeful 13, but a reasonable 10. I think that he's just so brittle, and he fits the offense perfectly. He's a pass catcher. He's a runner. I think he can do some damage. He'll definitely be a top 20 running back. That's not high praise, but I think that you have to kind of curb what you're expecting. And ADP is showing that he's kind of more of a 6th, 7th round type guy, maybe. Like maybe even like some people are taking him as high as 5. I'm not 100% sure where the ADP is on that. But if you look at the situation, I think that the people are a little higher on him over anybody else on the Eagles simply because Peterson's coming over here, and Jamal Charles, you saw what Jamal Charles put out there, so you're kind of hoping for the same thing. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not getting Jamal Charles. You're not getting a top 5 running back, but you are getting a running back that if you can get him later on in the draft, if you're doing a no running back type draft, or you just need a couple of good backups, he could be your guy. He could be good for most of the season, I think.
Yeah, and that's, you said that with him, where is he getting drafted? Right now, Fantasy Pros has him as the 55th overall player coming off the board. So, right there around the 5th round. But
That's
if he has
a lot earlier than I thought he was, but
yeah, and if he has a good preseason, he's going to move up too. People are going to draft him early just because of situation. But like you said,
real quick, just to kind of fire something back at you, if he gets up into the 3rd round, do you feel okay drafting him?
Nope.
Right. Yeah, me neither.
I don't even feel comfortable drafting him 5th round.
No, me neither.
There's a lot of other guys I like with higher upside and ceilings, I think.
So what if you did a wide receiver heavy early in the draft? You got 3 stud wide receivers. Would you go Matthews in the 5th?
I actually think. Let me look here. I ended up getting Matthews, I think, in the 7th of our draft, either the 6th or 7th, because I went 4 wide receivers, and then I went Murray, and then I believe I went either Hyde or Matthews after that. So, I mean, it's
equates out, though, because that was an 8-team league. Though.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But let me play a little bit of a name game with that, too, because would you guys rather have Ryan Matthews or Jeremy Langford?
Langford.
Okay.
I don't know.
I saw more talent in Matthews than Langford. Third option C.
Okay, how about,
I don't know.
Okay. 16 games. If both of them play 16 games, I want Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have a feeling that Langford's going to end up with more time to put more points out there for you.
Yep.
I could see that. How about Ryan Matthews or, hey, Josh, you'll answer this one. Ryan Matthews or Matt Jones?
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones might not even be the starter by the end of the season. No. There's some. Have you read the AFC preview yet, Romine? Okay, well, there's a little bit of a note about the Washington running back situation. They're looking at Pierre Thomas. Okay, there have been rumblings. There are rumblings that could be a. So that's how bad things are in Washington right now.
Not that bad.
Well, I will never draft Pierre Thomas over Matt Jones. But how about Ryan Matthews or Melvin Gordon?
Matthews.
Man, I'd say Matthews, but I'd like to see what Gordon can do this year.
Okay, how about Ryan Matthews?
Wait, really quickly, I like to point out the comparison between the two, though.
Yeah.
Matthews wasn't as bad. His was more of an injury situation, but still, guys that you drafted really high from San Diego because you're hoping that you get the next LaDainian Tomlinson is just not happening.
Yeah.
I heard something about they were thinking about putting Melvin Gordon on kickoff duty too. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what he has, but he still scares me. I draft Ryan Matthews over him every time. So
Yeah.
all those guys are going behind Ryan Matthews. So the next,
Do you still have the ADPs up?
yeah.
Where's Melvin Gordon in correspondence to Matthews?
So Melvin Gordon's the 68th player off the board. Ryan Matthews is 55. So
Okay, so it's basically
13 spots.
yeah. Okay, so you're really basically just around. Do you like the? See, it's only a round, so I don't know if you can really say that you like the value of a Melvin Gordon over Matthews. Do you?
No, I see. What I'm saying is I take Ryan Matthews over all those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How about Dion Lewis?
Matthews.
Deion Lewis is scary because he plays for New England. I mean,
Jonathan Stewart.
I think Jonathan Stewart. He was.
I'd still take Matthews. I still like Jonathan Stewart has been very lackluster to me, and I think that Ryan Matthews has a little bit more of an explosion to him. And that's why he gets hurt.
This is that weird round range where I almost would consider drafting a tight end or a quarterback at this point too than taking these guys because there's so much risk.
I don't like taking a quarterback that high, but I agree and I see where you're coming from with that because it's that territory where you're getting these running backs that have shown that they really don't have the stuff but might have a good situation. DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, scary territory, and you're hoping for these players. Instead, you could maybe get an Aaron Rodgers, and you really don't have to hope, you know?
Yeah, so, but I mean, a lot of leagues, Aaron Rodgers is going to go earlier than that, you know, unless you're playing in like a pro league or expert league. You know, Aaron Rodgers goes way earlier. I think that
5th, 6th, 7th round range is where Drew Brees is going, and
Drew Brees, Carson Palmer,
maybe Andrew Luck. You know,
yeah.
on the earlier side.
I think people are going to draft Luck a little bit earlier, but I think a Drew Brees, a Carson Palmer.
5th round? Really?
Yeah.
Luck's going before the 5th?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't agree with taking a quarterback before the 5th round. There is so much in those first few rounds that you can get. I mean, Aaron Rodgers went in the 1st round of our draft, and I was ready to hit him in the face because I thought that was such a stupid pick.
It is a two-quarterback league.
So.
No, still.
All right. Well, let's move to my last question. Van Cleve, there's been lots of hype on Zach Ertz after last year's finish. How do you feel about him this year?
Can I put some? I guess not breaking news, but this has to do with the Olympics since we were talking about it. The women's USA women's won the 4x100 relay. That team included Lily King and Simone Manuel. Just want to say that. No, that's swim.
USA.
The swim
USA.
Laps.
Yes. It's swim laps, yes.
USA.
Just growing our medal count. All right, so back to it. So Zach Ertz.
Yes.
I feel
Tell me
like
how you feel.
There's hype on him every single year he's out. And every single year he's not putting up the numbers what people expected. Now, he showed flashes last year, and those flashes maybe excite me, especially in like I said, a shallow pool of tight ends. I think that he can be a decent, maybe top 10 tight end, especially coming in Peterson's offense, where you saw Kelsey had success in. I think Zach Ertz could have that same success. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be like the top 5. I don't think he's going to be next Gronk or Reed. I like Kelsey, but I think you have Gronk and Reed, and then you have a tier below that. I even think Olsen's ahead of Kelsey, and I know that you guys that's shocking, but I like Kelsey's youth. But I just think as far as production goes, so I think Zach Ertz is going to be top 10, but I don't see him going higher than that.
Honestly, I think that you have to kind of look at the offense that is going to be run, and you have to like the situation that Zach Ertz has. There's kind of a quarterback situation where we're, is it going to be Bradford, Carson Wentz, even Chase Daniel, is a kind of a pet project that Peterson has had ever since in his Kansas City days. I think you have to like the fact that there's really only one major passing option in the open field, and that's Jordan Matthews. So Zach Ertz is kind of walking into a perfect situation. I don't think that you're going to get an amazing amount of production out of that wide receiver 2, and I think that Ertz might end up putting up that wide receiver 2 stat, essentially.
That's what I was about to ask, too. Like, could you see Zach Ertz even remotely leading this team in catches or leading this team in receiving yards, touchdowns?
Touchdowns, maybe. I can see touchdowns. I can see touchdowns.
Like, there's really nothing behind Jordan Matthews that'll stop Zach Ertz from getting all these targets. So.
No, I think
Ruben Randall.
For crying out loud. It's like we've got one guy that's a Ruben Randall guy, and then there's one guy that is a Nelson Aguilar fan, and I'm an Eagles fan. Just like, you guys are ridiculous. Cut it out. I mean, come on. You're absolutely right, Brent. It's going to be a very thin pickings as far as the wide receiver and tight end situation go, or I guess straightforward, the yardage and the catches. So I think that Ertz has the ability that he could take those numbers. I think that more likely than not, it'll be if he takes one of those categories, it's the touchdowns versus yards or catches, I think.
Yeah.
I can see that.
He only had 3 touchdowns all last season, so even a spike in that could put him up into the top 3 tight ends this season.
I only have him down for having 2 touchdowns last year.
Oh, maybe it was 2. Maybe, yeah.
I can see his touchdowns going up just because you saw Kelsey's touchdowns being up. He didn't have like the greatest number of yards. So I can see that, but I don't think he's going to
go
be
down.
No.
But I mean, so what I'm saying with those last 4 games last year, Ertz had like 35 catches, 450 yards. They were using him a lot. The touchdowns weren't there, so that's obviously you're going to see that go up. But if you continue to see any sort of usage like he was those last 4 games, I think he could be a huge value.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, unless you guys have something else to say about Zach Ertz, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. We're going to talk about the NFC East next week or later tonight, which we're going to record and post.
AFC East there?
Just talked about NFC East.
Yeah, no, thank you.
We're gonna double up on the NFC East, guys. Get ready.
We
want Washington Redskins.
More Sterling Shepard.
We're talking more. No, we're gonna talk about the AFC East. So you guys can follow us at the #4 Horsemen Pod on Twitter. You can email us at 4horsemenpod@gmail.com. But thanks for stopping out and joining us, guys. Later.
See ya.
Peace.